Welcome, dear students. Can you hear me? Yes, you can. All right. I was just checking the network. So, last time in our previous session, I had left you with a question unanswered. You know, where have the toppers, the girls, gone? So, in context of the question that was left unanswered, I have here shared with you the link from YouTube that you can just refer in the chat box and also in the description of the video. You can find it. And also it is available on Facebook, one of the pages link on you given in the description of the video of this. Alright, can please refer to it, and there you will find in the description of this video the links where the same issue that we had raised last time has been discussed in detail. Alright, so I'll just begin with our text that we are studying, that is unit number 4 from Bihayu, a truly beautiful mind. So firstly we studied about a word, genius. Then we came to know the qualities that a person has who is a genius. Then we finally realized that when we say a genius, there has been an alternative for the word genius. And what's it? Albert Einstein. And so we started with the text from page number 46 onward. There we came to know that Albert Einstein was born on 14 March 1879 in the German city of Ulm. Then we came to know about his childhood, that he could not speak even at the age of 2.5 years. And after that he started speaking, that too by uttering everything twice. And then we know that he was called by his playmates Brother Boring. And you know how innocent he was, and was more interested in playing the mechanical toys. And one example given here about his view about everything mechanically given here was when his sister was born. Her name was Maza. That time he asked, and he said, fine, but where are her wheels? Then we came to know the view of his headmaster about him, that he had told his father that Albert will never make a success at anything. And so what Einstein chose as a profession would not matter. That was his sentence. But we know that at the age of 6 only, Einstein began learning to play the violin, which helped him throughout his life, and later he became a gifted amateur violinist, maintaining this skill throughout his life. In extract number 4, in the paragraph number 4, we came to know that he was not a bad pupil, as the headmaster told his father before. Rather, he was doing very well in all of his subjects, in almost every subject. And then, you know how his family shifted from one place to another. That was from Munich to German-speaking Switzerland. And the name of city mentioned is Milan. And it was a friendly city for him where he could develop himself more. And he calls Milan as more friendly, more liberal than that way. Einstein was highly gifted in mathematics and interested in physics. And after he finished his schooling, he decided to study at a university in Zurich. But science wasn't the only thing, that appealed to the dashing young man with Aldrich mustache. You can see such a man here on page number 47. Einstein in 1900 at the age of 21, and Einstein in 1955 as we remember him now. That time, 76 years old, Albert Einstein, one of the greatest scientists ever on the planet. And then on page number 48, we came to know that there was a fellow student with him, Mileva Maric, whom he found to be a clever creature. And that way, they became good friends firstly, and later they wanted to be together throughout their life by marrying. But did it happen? How Einstein proposed her or wrote? He mentioned that, how happy and proud I shall be when we both have brought our work on relativity to a victorious conclusion. Because both of them were very brilliant. And of course, she was the only one, Mileva Maric, whom he found to be a clever creature. And nobody was there showing much interest, and he was the one little isolated from other fellow mates there studying in the college. And this way, we came to know later, and that was the reference that the question arises that where have the topo girls gone? Where are they? But before that, in paragraph number 8, in 1900 at the age of 21, Albert Einstein was a university graduate and unemployed. But there, he started teaching as an assistant, gave private lessons, and finally secured a job after 2 years of his graduation, that is in 1902, as a technical expert in the patent office in Bonn, where, he named his desk drawer at the work the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. You know why? Because he used to collect all of those patents and there, dear students, he got a good job opportunity as a technical expert in the patent office in Bern. And there he made a special desk drawer for himself and named it as the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. You know why? Because while he was supposed to be assessing other people's invention, Einstein was actually developing his own ideas in secret. And so he said to have jokingly, called his desk drawer at the work the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. Then one of the famous papers of 1905 was Einstein's special theory of relativity. You know, E is equal to mc square, that we have already learned. And he used to say in a funny way, explaining the theory of relativity, that when you sit with a nice girl for 2 hours, nice girl, you mean to say nice person, you know, it seems like 2 minutes. When you sit on a hot stove for 2 minutes, it seems like 2 hours. That's relativity. And you know, I had then asked you to get some more details from your physics teacher, and I'm sure you will have, or you must have understood it well. And finally, you know that E is equal to mc square, that E for energy, m for mass, and c for the speed of the light in a vacuum, that is about 3 lakh kilometer per second. And then on page number 49, we understood with reference to the paragraph number 10 that Albert's mother did not want that Einstein should marry Mileva. Though Albert had wanted to marry Mileva right after finishing his studies, but his mother was against it. You know why? Because she thought Mileva, who was 3 years older than her son, was too old for him. This was one reason. And another thing, that she was bothered by Mileva's intelligence. You know what was it? Mileva's intelligence. And there she says, she is a book like you. His mother said Einstein put the wedding off, and so Einstein could not marry that time just after finishing his studies, but had to wait because mother did not want that he should marry her for two reasons. One of them was she was 3 years older than her son, that is Albert, and second thing was Mileva's intelligence. He was very intelligent, and Albert's mother did not want that, as Albert is intelligent, a genius person, his wife should not be like him, because if both of them are too intelligent, there are chances that they may start fighting, they may start, you know, arguing with each other like we argue in a debate, you know. And so Albert's mother did not want Albert marry Mileva. Then did they both marry? We know, you know, in paragraph number 11 that the pair finally married in January 1903 and had two sons. But a few years later, the marriage faltered, and you know, finally they had to be separated from each other because Mileva, you know, was losing her intellectual ambition and was becoming an unhappy housewife. And with reference to this sentence, last time we started a discussion and I left you all unanswered with a question, and today you can, you know, refer to the links that I have shared in the chat box as well as in the description of the video at the bottom, and that way you can understand. And there, you know, I'm sure you might have gone through the links, because the moment I mentioned in the beginning that the links have been given in the description of the video as well as in the chat box, you must have firstly clicked on them and must have gone through it. Okay, so let's not discuss much about it, and I'm sure you have all understood what the message we should all learn, not only the girls but also the boys especially. And you know that they married in January 1903, but finally the couple finally divorced in 1919. For almost 16 years, somehow they could manage with each other, but not after that, and they divorced. Just after that, you know, the same year in 1919, Einstein married his cousin Elsa, the same year. And that was the end there. And here the new part begins of 2 paragraphs. Let's see what is given there. Einstein's new personal chapter coincided with his rise to the world fame. In 1915, he had published his general theory of relativity, which provided a new interpretation of gravity. An eclipse of the sun in 1919 brought proof that it was accurate. Einstein had correctly calculated in advance the extent to which the light from fixed stars would be deflected through the sun's gravitational field. The newspapers proclaimed his work as a scientific revolution. And here the word, that is a scientific word, deflection. It means changed direction because it hit something. You know, reflection, deflection and refraction. These are 2 words. Reflection, refraction and deflection. You know well. Reflection is just when something hits to an object, it reflects back. It goes back like a boomerang. That is reflection. Refraction means going through, passing through, but changing the way. And deflection is changing direction because it hit something. You know, you understood it. So in 1915, as in the previous paragraph only, the paragraph number 9, we came to know that one of the famous papers of 1905 was Einstein's special theory of relativity. But it took some years to be published in the newspaper, and it was finally in 1915. You know what happened? That general theory of relativity was published all over the world. So the scientists across the world started arguments with Einstein about that. But 4 years passed and there was an eclipse of the sun in 1919, the same year, you know, when he divorced and married. He divorced with whom? He divorced Mileva Maric and married Elsa, his cousin. The same year, that is the reason here Einstein's new personal chapter coincided with his rise to the world fame given. So these things happen in the same year. His divorce, his marriage again, and publicity, his being famous all over the world, because what he had mentioned in his general theory of relativity was absolutely right. And what proved it? The proof was an eclipse of the sun in 1919. Whatever he had, you know, forecast, whatever he had mentioned in his theory of relativity, and whatever he had told well in advance, that the light from fixed stars would be deflected through the sun's gravitational field, was absolutely right. He had made all of that arrangement required in order to ensure that the people from different countries, to the extent where the effect of an eclipse of the sun was finally calculated, and what he had told well in advance and what exactly was told by the people across the world matched, and he was right. And so the newspapers that time proclaimed his work as a scientific revolution, because nobody could have ever thought of it, that what Einstein had proved and had given some proof to the world. And so he was then known to the world for his theory of relativity, general theory of relativity. So what did the newspapers proclaim his work as? A scientific revolution. You know, French Revolution, then Russian Revolution you have studied, or you are studying in class 9. The same way, this is a scientific revolution called, you know, because the thing that was not expected to happen happened. And so the newspapers proclaimed his work as a scientific revolution. Let's see now what paragraph number 13 give us more details about Einstein. Einstein received the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. He was showered with honors and invitations from all over the world and lauded by the press. And it was the first time now, just the beginning of his success. He became so famous all over the world, and his work was also proclaimed as a scientific revolution. So everybody wanted and everybody loved, liked Albert Einstein. And the Nobel Prize, the organization which about it, well, Einstein received for physics in 1921, means after his general theory of relativity was published in 1915, was proved that he was right and it was accurate. It was 1919, and after 2 years that he was right with his general theory of relativity, Einstein received the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. And after that, from all over the world, people honored him, invited him, and of course the press, the newspapers, electronic media, if it was there, they applauded him a lot. The wonderful work he had done was going to be very helpful in the coming science, especially the physics. And it changed the view of the scientists to look at the science that time. And this way, his contribution in the physics made him famous worldwide. So the last paragraph on page number 49, paragraph number 14, let's see now. When the Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933, Einstein emigrated to the United States. 5 years later, the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin had American physicists in an uproar. Many of them had fled from fascism, just as Einstein had, and now they were afraid the Nazis could build and use an atomic bomb. And in the third or fourth chapter from history, you must have studied or must be reading it yourselves, Nazism, the rise of Hitler, how he massacred the people in the concentration camps, and some more such arrangements were made with some code languages that the people from Jew community were killed in large number. So we can't say out of fear, but Einstein did not want to stay there. And so here in 1933, Einstein immigrated to the United States, and there he went to USA, United States of America. After spending 5 years, means in 1938, there was the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin in Germany. Had American physicists in an uproar, and there, some American physicists were there, and they were very upset. They were in an uproar, means they were very upset after the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin. You know why? The reason was, without an atomic bomb, if Hitler was troubling the people, especially from the Jew community, in such a cruel way, in such a wicked way, what can we expect him to do when he has an atomic bomb? They couldn't imagine. It was horrible experience for all of us just to think about it. And so it is mentioned that American physicists in an uproar. They were very upset. And so many of them had fled from fascism, just as Einstein had. Einstein left Germany and came to United States, the United States of America. And like him, many of them had fled from fascism. The scientist, the American physicist, and now they were afraid the Nazis could build and use an atomic bomb. And that was a fear that they had. If the Nazis, if Hitler and his men, the cruel, the wicked one, build and use an atomic bomb, then what would happen? Dear students, I would like to remind that it is just a background or just the beginning, we can say, of World War II. And after that what happened? Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the cities from Japan, were blasted with a bomb named, not with a bomb, there were two bombs. One of them was Little Boy and the other one was Fat Man. And that fear, made these American physicists in an uproar. You know what happened later. Let's say what Albert Einstein played role during that time. So that is page number 50, paragraph number 15. I'm sure that you must have kept your textbook open. So do read or at least listen to me carefully and ensure that you are at the right place. Paragraph number 15. At the urging of a colleague, Einstein wrote a letter to the American president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, on 2nd August 1939, in which he warned a single bomb of this type exploded in a port might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory. And there, Einstein wrote a letter to the American president that time, the then president, Franklin D. Roosevelt. He was one of the greatest persons, very well all over the world. And today Donald Trump is the president of America, and the former one was Barack Obama. George Bush, George Washington was the first president of America. Washington DC. After his name, the city was named. And this is also one of the greatest presidents, very well known, famous worldwide, Franklin D. Roosevelt. And Einstein wrote a letter to him. And what did he mention in his letter? The letter was dated 2nd August 1939. And that time he warned the American president Franklin D. Roosevelt that a single bomb of this type, means what type? The one that the American physicists were developing. And they were afraid that if in case it happens that Nazis build such an atomic bomb, they were very afraid of it. They had a fear, and if they use such an atomic bomb, the world may be destroyed. And here in his letter, Einstein mentioned that if such an atomic bomb exploded in a port, might very well destroy the whole port together with the sum of the surrounding territory. And such an atomic bomb will not just destroy the port, a place, but the surrounding nearby. The territory that is surrounding over there will be completely destroyed just by an explosion of a single atomic bomb. And that was the warning Albert Einstein had, mentioned in his letter to the American president Franklin D. Roosevelt on 2nd August 1939. Was there any impact of his letter? Let's see. His words did not fail to have an effect. His words did not fail to have an effect. He was right. And how it happened? How the people came to know that he was right? That an explosion of an atomic bomb might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory. How was he right? There it happened. that the Americans developed the atomic bomb in a secret project of their own and dropped it on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. And after 6 years that he wrote a letter to the American President Franklin D. Roosevelt, he himself, made a secret project of their own, scientists and all together, and developed an atomic bomb in secret project of their own. It was a secret plan. And finally, you know the story that they dropped those little boy and the fat man bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, and that was, World War II was going on. And after that it ended. So it took 6 years for them to develop. I think even if they had developed, but they did not want to drop it. But finally an incident happened that Japan attacked one of the ports, one of the territory from America, and in response to that act by Japanese people, American people finally had to drop those bombs in the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I will not go much in depth of that. Well, you might have read or studied it. The thing here we need to understand is that Albert Einstein had already understood the effect of an explosion of an atomic bomb, how it can explode, and destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory. That's what he had already on writing a letter to the American President Franklin D. Roosevelt. If you see, it was 2nd August 1933, and they dropped these atomic bombs in August 1945. It was a period of 6 years, wasn't it? Then what happened? Let's see in paragraph number 16. Einstein was deeply shaken by the extent of the destruction. This time he wrote a public missive to the United Nations, UN, many countries. There are 7 or 8 or more than that. Exact number I don't know. But you do know MUN, Model United Nations. So that way he wrote now a public missive to the United States. And what did he mention? Let's see. In it, he proposed the formation of a world government. And because of just the government limited to a country or a nation and having no right to do anything to the next or the another nation, there were some limitations. Albert Einstein understood. And so he finally wanted that there should be a world government, as there is a state government, the union government, that is central government. Like that, there should be a world government also. Then did he fail also in this? That there was no effect? Let's see. Unlike the letter to Roosevelt, this one made no impact. And here, dear students, in the paragraph number 15, if you read, his words did not fail to have an effect. Means there was an effect in his words, and his words came true later in 1945. Means after his letter written to the American president, it took 6 years that his words came true, and we come to know that how true he was. But unlike that, this one made no impact. And it made impact, the previous one, but this later made no impact. And so finally what happened? But over the next decade, Einstein got ever more involved in politics. And since there was no impact that he found, even if he had written a public missive to the United Nations, he decided that it was the time that he should lead. He should take the initiative and do something for the world government. Then only there would be the peace in the world. Otherwise, the explosion of such an atomic bomb will definitely destroy the world one day. That he was knowing. And so, for over the next decade, Einstein got ever more involved in politics. Dear students, it is said that when bad people are active, there is evil all over. So only the bad people are not responsible for that. Good people are also responsible. Why? Because they are inactive. If bad people can be active and spread the evil all over, why shouldn't the good people spread the good things, goodness all over? And that is the reason when good people are inactive, evil people become more active. So what should be done? Good people should be more active, then evil people will automatically be inactive. And that's what Einstein understood, and he decided that just writing a letter won't affect. It won't affect anymore. There won't be any impact. And he took initiative himself and involved himself in politics. And what did he do? Hesitating for an end to the arms build-up and use his popularity to campaign for peace and democracy. And there, he wanted that there should be an end to the arms build-up. Arms build-up means all the countries, they were all, investing much in creating the armed forces and making them strong. Because it was the time that World War II was going on. People in lakhs had died. The present scenario from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, those people born there till date, even in present days, they are either born physically disabled or mentally retarded. That was the impact. Not that time, it just destroyed. But today also, it has an impact. And these things, such a great scientist could easily understand. And so, using his popularity to campaign for peace and democracy, he spent almost a decade after he wrote, a public missive to the United Nations. And there was no impact. And so he had to play a major role and be active. And at last, here dear students in the text, let's see what is given in paragraph number 17. When Einstein died in 1955 at the age of 76, he was celebrated as a visionary and world citizen as much as a scientific genius. And dear students, he was not just a scientific genius person. He was not just a scientist, but he was a visionary and world citizen. And that's what people in the world celebrated, that day when he died in 1955 at the age of 76 as a visionary and world citizen. That's what Albert Einstein was. So he was not only a scientific genius, but also a visionary and world citizen. But people understood him later. Perhaps the people that time only, the then American President Franklin D. Roosevelt and also the United Nations could understand him. There must not have been so much of destruction in the world. So that's it, dear students, that we have understood about the genius, the greatest scientist, Albert Einstein. I'm sure and I hope that you have all understood it, the text about Albert Einstein, and I know that you now got the title meaningfully. What's it? A truly beautiful mind. Who has that truly beautiful mind? Albert Einstein. Let's discuss some questions and their answers briefly for your more understanding. At this time, I will just try to finish with question number 1 and question number 8, I think, the last one, first and last question from thinking about text. First question, that here are some headings for paragraphs in the text given. Write the numbers or the number of the paragraphs or the paragraph for each title against the heading. The first one is done for you. For example, this is the title given, Einstein's equation. So which number paragraph is the most suitable for this title, Einstein's equation? So that is paragraph number 9 that is given. Now if I want to give this title to one of the paragraphs, which is the one that I should give? The title is Einstein meets his future wife. Which is the paragraph, dear students? You please find out, or do you want me to answer this? What do you say? You can easily find out where he met Mileva Maric. And what is that paragraph number? You got it? It was paragraph number 7. Einstein meets his future wife. Then third, the making of a violinist. Which paragraph number is the most suitable for this title? Paragraph number 3. Then Mileva and Einstein's mother. If I want to give this title, it goes to paragraph number 10. Then number 5 title is a letter that launched the arms race. It is all about the recent one. That was 15 number. And 6th title, a desk drawer full of ideas. It is, paragraph number 8. And the last one, marriage and divorce, where we come to know about Einstein's marriage and his divorce. That was paragraph number 11. And at last, the last question, the questions between question number 1 and 8 we will discuss in the live session, but for you I'm just giving you these answers of question number 1 and 8. Here are some facts from Einstein's life given. Arrange them in a chronological order. So the chronological order you need to arrange as they happen in his life. They are given in a jumbled, randomly given. You need to arrange them chronologically. So how it happens? So firstly what happens? That 7 number, Einstein publishes his special theory of relativity. Then 9 number sentence, he is awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics. Then 11 number, Einstein writes a letter to US President Franklin D. Roosevelt and warns against Germany's building of an atomic bomb. Then second number sentence, Einstein attends a high school in Munich. Then third number, Einstein's family moves to Milan. Are we right? Then number 1, Einstein is born in the German city of Ulm. Then number 5, Einstein joins a university in Zurich where he meets Mileva. 12, Einstein dies. 8, he provides a new interpretation of gravity. 4 number, tired of the school's regimentation, Einstein withdraws from school. 6 number would be, he works in a patent office as a technical expert. And 10 number sentence would be, when Hitler comes to power, Einstein leaves Germany for the United States. So the numbers I have told are the answers of this. So again I will repeat them from 1 to 10. Number 1 will be, Einstein is born in the German city of Ulm. Second number, Einstein attends a high school in Munich. Third number, Einstein's family moves to Milan. 4 number, tired of the school's regimentation, Einstein withdraws from school. Then 5 number, Einstein joins a university in Zurich where he meets Mileva. Then 6 number, he works in a patent office as a technical expert. 7 number, Einstein publishes his special theory of relativity. 8 number, he provides a new interpretation of gravity. Then 9 number, he is awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics. 10 number, when Hitler comes to power, Einstein leaves Germany for the United States. Then 11 number, Einstein writes a letter to US President Franklin D. Roosevelt and warns against Germany's building of an atomic bomb. And then 12 number is Einstein dies. So this is a chronological order of the instances from Einstein's life, the facts. So that's it for today, dear students. I would again remind you to just click on the link, share it in the chat box, and also given in the description. Thank you so much. Bye. Have a nice day ahead. See you.